Our next book is from Disney and it's Mickey Mouse and the Roadster Races, and it's been personalised for James, but it could be personalised for you. James has been given toy racers as a birthday gift and is playing with them on the carpet. Lining up Mickey, Minnie and the rest of the Roadster Racer toys, James imagines being a commentator for the most spectacular race of the season. Buongiorno and welcome from Rome, Italy, cries James. Welcome to the race for the rigatoni ribbon. The big question is, who will zoom to victory? Me, cries Mickey and the rest of the daily drivers. James imagines that they are all in the garage preparing for the big race. Goofy appears from the bonnet of his daily driver. Gosh, doesn't that fancy fella Piston Petro win every year? Not today, says Donald Duck. I'm gonna win. The drivers make their way to the start line, revving their engines. Suddenly, there's a loud roar and a big purple vehicle thunders through to the top of the grid. It's last year's winner, Piston Pietro, shouts James into the imaginary microphone. Do any of you losers really think you can win with your pathetic machine, scoffs Pietro. You asked for it, says Mickey. Each daily driver presses a button on their vehicle, transforming them into super cool Roadster racers. Clarabelle Cow waves the green flag to start the race. Go, Roadster Racers, go, exclaims James. Vroom! The racers speed away. Pietro charges into an early lead, and then his racer starts shooting out pizzas. It looks like Piston Pietro is making one of his classic moves, says James. That's right, he's cheating. As the pizzas fly at the chasing racers, one lands directly on Donald's face. Splat. Goofy is also bombarded with pizzas and he spins completely off the track and down a different street. Goofy is now lost, driving around the streets of Rome searching for his racing buddies. Suddenly he spots the biggest meatball he has ever laid eyes on. Goofy needs to get himself a taste of that meatball, says James. A big taste. Goofy sits down for some food, but only gets a tiny meatball with his pasta. Gosh, I thought it was going to be a bigger meatball, says Goofy. With that, Goofy grabs 2 forks and sniffs the pasta, which has been covered in pepper. Achoo, Goofy sneezes. The forks fly out of his hands and hit the giant meatball, causing it to roll down the street. But Goofy is too happy eating to notice. He grabs 2 new forks and digs in. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Minnie and Daisy are catching up with Pietro. A huge tube appears from the back of Pietro's Roadster, squirting olive oil all over the track. Time to give these cheesy cheese balls the slip, says Pietro. Whoosh! Minnie and Daisy try their best but can't avoid the slippery oil. And there go Minnie and Daisy right off the course, shouts out James, who is getting very good at commentating. Oh dear, we're way off course, says Minnie to Daisy. Suddenly, they notice a shop with a shiny red shoe for a sign. It's Flucci's, says Minnie with excitement. Flucci's is the most famous shoe shop in Italy. I'm sure we have time for a quick visit and then get back to the race, says Daisy. Back to the race. There are now only 3 racers left, says James. What is Piston Pietro up to? James asked the imaginary audience. He's leading Mickey and Donald to the Colosseum. As Pietro, Mickey and Donald drive through the Colosseum, they're joined by Goofy's giant meatball. Pietro escapes the Colosseum and shuts the gate, locking Mickey and Donald inside with the giant meatball. Pietro's pesky plan has worked perfectly. Hey, Donald, follow my lead, shouts Mickey. He zooms up a long, smooth stone and flies out of the Colosseum, with Donald right behind him. Unfortunately, the meatball is following too. Mickey and Donald continue to soar through the air. As they land, the racers realise that they're now ahead of Pietro. Hot diggity dog, exclaims Mickey. Incredible, says James. Piston Pietro cannot believe his eyes. The racers have now been rejoined by Minnie and Daisy, who are already wearing some of the new clothes from their shopping spree. Goofy is also back in the race, but is still hunting for the giant meatball. The 3 racers catch up with Pietro. Just then, the giant meatball appears. It collides with Goofy and Pietro, splatting their roadsters. They may have lost their roadsters, but Goofy and Pietro aren't giving up on the race, says James. Goofy and Pietro are now running on top of the giant meatball as it continues to roll through the racetrack. At the front of the race, Mickey and Donald are both pushing for the finish line. "Who will win?" cries James with excitement. Suddenly, Mickey hears a rumble. It's the giant meatball with Goofy and Pietro on top of it. Donald is too busy focusing on the race to notice it. "I've got to help Donald," says Mickey, realising that his friend could be in danger. Mickey slows down and power slides the meatball down a different street, saving Donald. "Thanks, Mickey," says Donald. "Anytime, pal." Mickey's Roadster is now facing the wrong way. "Now go win the race." Donald doesn't need telling twice. Zoom! Donald makes his way over the finish line. "And the winner of the rigatoni ribbon is Donald Duck," shouts James enthusiastically. I did it, oh boy, I beat Piston Pietro," says Donald. Now the other racers are zooming over the finish line. The race is over. Everybody is given a plate of tasty pasta. Clarabelle hands Donald the trophy and puts the rigatoni ribbon around his neck. Suddenly, Goofy and Pietro appear. They are still on the giant meatball. The meatball crashes into a statue and explodes into dozens of tiny meatballs, scattering down onto everybody's plate. Pietro is left hanging from the statue by his underwear. "Sorry you didn't win, Mickey," says Donald as he tucks into his pasta and meatballs. "But I won this race thanks to you." "Oh, it's okay," Mickey replies. "Friendship is a lot more important to me than winning." James puts the toy Roadster racers down. What a thrilling race that was, and what a great commentator James is. James suddenly feels hungry. For some reason, James really wants a bowl of pasta and meatballs.